Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulil Kareem, wa ba'd. Alhamdulillah, today we have gone from the 5th into the 6th of Muharram. This past Saturday there was a failure to sight the moon, so Dhul Hijjah was 30 days. So the first was on Monday. First of Muharram was Monday. So as of sunset now, it is the 6th of Muharram. As we know from the hadith, there was a strong recommendation from the Prophet ﷺ. He said, the best fast after that of Ramadan is the fast of Muharram. Goes on to say in the same hadith that whoever should fast the 9th and the 10th, it is a forgiveness for the sins that come the year after. So whoever can fast the 9th and 10th of Muharram should do so. And he gives the reasoning of why this is. He says that, quote, this is the day of Ashura. It is the commemoration that Allah freed the children of Israel from the grasp of the Pharaoh. This is why we fast on this day of the 10th of Muharram or the 9th and the 10th. So if we can try to get some reward, it's coming 3 days from today. Try to get some reward. Try to get some reward for doing a lost sunnah. With regard to the tafsir, alhamdulillah, we are in the 30th juz'a and we're on the 59th hizb. We're starting with Surah An-Naba. This is the 78th surah. Imam Jamaluddin ibn Al-Jawzi rahimahullah, he starts by saying, quote, this is known as Surah An-Naba, but it is also called Surah At-Tasa'ul. It is a Meccan surah by consensus in totality. The Exalted One has said, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. عما يتساءلون عن النبأ العظيم الذي هم فيه مختلفون كلا سيعلمون ثم كلا سيعلمون ألم نجعل الأرض مهادا والجبال أوتادا وخلقناكم أزواجا وجعلنا نومكم سباتا وجعلنا الليل لباسا وجعلنا النهار معاشا وبنينا فوقكم سبعا شدادا وجعلنا سراجا وهاجا وأنزلنا من المعصرات ماء ثجاجا لنخرج به حبا ونباتا وجنات ألفافا إن يوم الفصل كان ميقاتا يوم ينفخ في الصور فتأتون أفواجا وفتحت السماء فكانت أبوابا وسيرت الجبال فكانت سرابا إن جهنم كانت مرصادا للطاغين مآبا لابثين فيها أحقابا لا يذوقون فيها بردا ولا شرابا إلا حميما وغساقا جزاء وفاقا إنهم كانوا لا يرجون حسابا وكذبوا بآياتنا كذابا وكل شيء أحصيناه كتابا فذوقوا فلن نزيدكم إلا عذابا إن للمتقين مفازا حدائق وأعنابا وكواعب أترابا وكأسا دهاقا لا يسمعون فيها لغوا ولا كذابا جزاء من ربك عطاء حسابا رب السماوات والأرض وما بينهما الرحمن لا يملكون منه خطابا يوم يقوم الروح والملائكة صفا لا يتكلمون إلا من أذن له الرحمن وقال صوابا ذلك اليوم الحق فمن شاء اتخذ إلى ربه مآبا إنا أنذرناكم عذابا قريبا يوم ينظر المرء ما قدمت يداه ويقول الكافر يا ليتني كنت ترابا. In the name of Allah, the merciful, the compassionate. Regarding what they ask about, it is the great and severe news, that which they are differing about. By no means they shall come to know. And indeed, again, it said, they shall certainly come to know. Did we not make the earth a resting place, and the mountains as pegs? And we created you in pairs, and we made your sleep a Sabbath, a resting time. We made the night a covering. We made the daytime a time to move around it. And we built over you 7 sturdy tracts. And we made as well a flaming torch. And we sent down from the clouds refreshing water, so that the seeds and the vegetation might benefit thereof, that there might be gardens overflowing with alfalfa and the like. Indeed, the day of sorting out is a promised time, a day in which the horn shall be blown into, and you shall see crowds gathered together. The sky shall be opened, as if there were doors. The mountains shall be moved from their places, as if observing a mirage. Indeed, the great fire is laying in wait, and for those who transgress is a terrible end, waiting therein for ages on end. They shall not taste any coolness and relief, nor any drink, except the penalty of the drink of Hamim and the pus, a fitting reward and a covenant that's completed for such. They never hoped for the reckoning with Allah. They denied our signs, incredibly. Everything that has been done, we have preserved it in a book. So taste of that which has been given. We shall not increase you except in punishment. For the pious is salvation, and gardens, as well as grapes, and fair-looking maidens, goblets filled with the choicest drinks. They shall not hear therein any foul language, nor any false witness. A fitting reward from your Lord, who is given the best reckoning. The Lord of the skies and the earth and what's between them, the both of them, the most merciful. They don't own any time to speak in his presence or dispute at that point. A day in which the Spirit and the angel shall be standing in rows. No one shall speak at that time except the one who the most merciful has given permission to. And when he speaks, he will speak correctly. That is the day of promise. Whoever wills, then let him take the way to his Lord that leads to the life. Indeed, we have warned you of a punishment coming near on a day in which the man shall look at what his hands have brought forward and say, the unbeliever shall say, oh, I wish that I was dust. Surah An-Naba, the 78th Surah, ayat 1 to 40. When the Exalted One is said regarding that which they ask about, the scholars of commentary say, when the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sent forth, the idol worshippers questioned him incessantly. And they said, what is that which he comes with? And they debated, and they disputed regarding what he was sent with. And so this surah came down as a result of those disputations. So they're asking these questions. And so that which is narrated is being given to them, so that they might take it away. They are asking that which they are asking about the severe news. Now, the statement An-Naba al-Azim, the severe news, or the severe knowledge, this is referring to three things. The severe knowledge refers firstly to the Quran. This was mentioned by Mujahid, Muqatil, Al-Farra, and others. The second is that the severe knowledge refers to the day of resurrection. This was mentioned by Qatada. The third is they differed in what the Prophet ﷺ commanded them. This is mentioned by Az-Zajjaj. That which they differed in being the Quran, because the idol worshippers differed about it. Some said the Quran was magic, others said it's poetry, others said it's old stories. And what the Prophet ﷺ commanded them with was what was in the Quran. The great news being the revelation regarding the day of resurrection, the resurrection of the bodies. Some had heard of this. Some bore witness to the revelation, the resurrection, and believed. Some denied it. This was mentioned by Qatada. But also understand that both the Muslims and the idol worshippers differ regarding the day of resurrection. The Muslims testified to the truthfulness of it coming, while the idol worshippers deny it, as said by Yahya ibn Salam. By no means they shall come to know the end result of their denying when the matter is revealed. Indeed, they shall know. So this is being said for emphasis so that the person might understand. Did we not make the earth a resting place? Now in this case here Allah is saying like a bed that's spread out. Because a mihad is a bed that is spread out. And the mountains is pegs for the earth so that it doesn't shake when you move. We created you in pairs, meaning in groups. Friends, enemies, men, women, male, female. The black, white, and red, these are all nations of where the clay came from. These are the pairs. We made your sleep a Sabbath. Now we've already discussed this in Surah Al-Furqan, the 25th Surah, ayah 47. We made the night a cover. And we've discussed this already as well in the same surah and same ayah. And this expression shows that we made the daytime a point where you might move around it and seek your ma'ash. Ma'ash is your bread, your means. And when the Exalted One says, and we put over you 7 sturdy tracts, Muqatil said, they are the 7 skies. And between each sky is a distance of 500 years. This is what is over you. So take heed lest you disobey Allah. And then humiliation comes down upon you. And we made a flaming torch, which refers to the sun, and an illumination. Wahaja, an illumination, which refers to the moon, as said by Ibn Abbas and others. We have sent down from the clouds, that are in the sky, that are carried along by the winds. Both of these being said by Ubay ibn Ka'b, Al-Hasan al-Basri, Sa'id ibn Jubayr, Mujahid, Ikrimah ibn Abi Jahl, Qatada, Muqatil, and Zayd ibn Aslam. So these clouds, these mu'asirat, are carried along by the wind, and they release their burden. They release the water that is much, but also water that is fresh. So that there might be extracted from that water, that water might give forth seeds and vegetation. as the seeds are what people eat, while the vegetation is what grows it from out of the earth, and that's what both people and cattle eat, said by the vast majority. As Zajjaj has said, all of what brings forth a harvest is a seed, and all of what is consumed by the animals is vegetation. So, the seeds are the beginning. The vegetation are the herbs. And then the Exalted One says, and then there are gardens of alfalfa and other herbs. The scholars of commentary say, this is proof that the mention of the creations can be made to prove the resurrection. And then he mentions the day of resurrection right after mentioning the state of the earth and how things function in the system of the earth. Indeed, the day of sorting out, meaning the day of dispensing of justice between the creations, is a time set aside, meaning Allah has promised there shall be reward and penalty put out. A day in which the horn shall be blown into, and the people should come forward, and you shall come forward from your graves, in crowds, group and group from every place. And the sky shall be opened up, meaning it shall be opened and there shall be great commotion. There shall be great commotion, it shall be opened up as if doors are there. Mountains shall be moved from their places. None has this. When we say the mountains move from their places, like clouds, because clouds move along. Indeed, the great fire lays in wait, meaning it lays in wait to take a hold of those who are unbelievers and who deserve to go therein. As for the expression for the transgressors and wrongdoers, that refers to the idol worshippers, that is their permanent home, to remain therein for ages, waiting. So the expression ahqaba is the same as ahqab. We mentioned part of this in Surah Al-Kahf, the 18th Surah 60. Now someone may ask, what is the benefit of using the expression ahqab when the unbelievers are forever in the fire with no respite for them? This question renders two answers. One is that this does not prove that they will not be in there for eternity. Because whenever an age passes, it's followed by another age. So it says that they shall be remaining therein for ages. Whether it's 10 or 5, they shall pass all of their time there. This was mentioned by Ibn Qutayb and others, the vast majority. The real explanation is that the time of the people of paradise and the time of the people of fire can be imagined to enter under days as we would understand, even if those days have no end. So them remaining therein, in which that state of remaining they shall not taste, of any coldness, the coolness of a drink, nor refreshment. So their being in the fire for all eternity is long standing, which is a statement of Zajjaj and others. The ages that are mentioned, they shall be punished one after the other. There shall be no respite in terms of drinks, nothing that is bardan wala sharaba, nothing hot nor cold, said by Ibn Abbas, as a drink. There is no rest or relaxation, said by Hasan al-Basri and Ata. Then they shall taste therein of no goodness, and their thirst shall not be abated, except it be the case that this is their condition for all times. A fitting reward and a penalty that matches with their deeds. A fitting reward that agrees with the deeds that they had done. Understand there's no greater sin than major shirk. And there's no greater punishment than the great fire. And they did not use to hope for the reckoning. They did not fear that they would be reckoned because they didn't believe in the resurrection, as said by the vast majority. They did not hope for the reward of the reckoning. They did not hope for the reward of the reckoning because they didn't believe in the day of resurrection or resurrection itself, said by Zajjaj. They denied of our signs openly and clearly. But everything that was done was preserved in a book, meaning it was established. Everything from the actions is established in the preserved tablet. So when the Exalted One says, so taste, meaning take on, taste the penalty of your grievous sin. We shall not increase them except in punishment. But those who are pious, meaning those who do not associate partners with Allah, shall be saved. As said by Ibn Abbas, Al-Dhahak. And it has been mentioned of them that they shall be saved from the great fire and go into the paradise. They shall be saved from the great punishment with mercy. As said by Qatada and Ibn Qutaybah. The hada'iq is the plural of hadiqa, which is the park or the area which has date palms there in it. The singular is hadiqa, the plural is hada'iq. And they will have maidens chaste and pure. And so the maidens chaste and pure, they shall be handed over to them. And there shall be a beautiful drink kept in a goblet that is full, as said by Ibn Abbas and others, Al-Hasan al-Basri, Qatada bin Zayd. Mujahid from Ibn Abbas Sa'id ibn Jubair and Mujahid all say that they all say that these matters are hereafter matters. But Allah the Exalted has said, they shall not hear in the paradise when they are drinking from this any filthy language. Laghwa. One can look this up in Surah Tur, ayah 23. So their denial, which is kadhib, is the root word. There is no escape for those who deny from the penalty that is coming, because they denied our signs. What a fitting in, the jaza, what a reward that is coming. They shall be rewarded with this because of their failure to reflect on the reckoning. And when he says, the Lord of the skies and the earth, the Lord of the skies and the earth, and what's between them, the most merciful. And no one has a right to speak with intercession except by his permission. And this was said by Muqatil. This is a day in which the soul shall stand along with the angels. So one of the armies of Allah is the angels. They shall stand on that day with the Spirit. They shall stand with the Spirit in large numbers. And the skies, the mountains, and the angels shall stand at attention of sorts. The mention being made of the angel standing brings back the discussion of the soul, the ruh. And the ruh is an angel that Allah created. And on the day of resurrection, he shall stand alone by himself. And the other angels shall see him in rows. The other angels shall see in their rows, and this also refers to the souls of the people who will be established with the angels. And this is happening between the two blowings of the horn. But this is before the souls are returned to the bodies. This was mentioned by Atiyah from Ibn Abbas. Also, the soul refers to the angel Jibreel alayhi salam, as I said by Sha'bi, Sa'id ibn Jubair, Al-Dahaq, and others. The soul also, in a backhanded way, refers to Nabiyuna Adam alayhi salam, as said by Al-Hasan al-Basri and Qatada. It is said to be the Quran, as discussed by Zayd ibn Aslam. And the angels standing in rows, meaning that they're gathered up in great company, and that they are fearless. They cannot speak, meaning all the creation, except whoever Allah gives permission to, the most merciful. And whatever they speak shall be correct, which is the opposite of that which they spoke in the earthly life. They shall testify to the Tawheed of Allah. the statement, whoever wills, let him make a way to his Lord. Meaning, let him return to him in obedience, and let him warn the unbelievers of Mecca. And let the believers beware of the fear tactics of the unbelievers of Mecca. Indeed, we warn you. We warn you of a penalty that is coming, and that is the penalty of the hereafter and every sign that precedes it. On a day in which the man will look at what his hands have brought forward, what actions he did. And he shall stand humiliated. The man that has put forward nothing but wickedness, in secret and in open. And the unbeliever shall say, I wish that I was dust, meaning I was never resurrected. So the unbeliever here, وَيَقُولُ الْكَافِرُ يَا لَيْتَنِي كُنْتُ تُرَابًا. The context is that I wish I was never resurrected. And the unbeliever refers to Iblis. It refers to Iblis, the greatest enemy of mankind. He is the enemy of mankind from the very beginning when he was created from dust. So the question may be asked, when he sees on the day of resurrection the condition of things, he will say, oh, I wish that I was dust. The Exalted One then brings us to Surah Al-Nazi'at. It is a Meccan surah by consensus. The Exalted One, he says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. وَالنَّازِعَاتِ غَرْقًا وَالنَّاشِطَاتِ نَشْطًا وَالسَّابِحَاتِ سَبْحًا فَالسَّابِقَاتِ سَبْقًا فَالْمُدَبِّرَاتِ أَمْرًا يَوْمَ تَرْجُفُ الرَّاجِفَةُ تَتْبَعُهَا الرَّادِفَةُ قُلُوبٌ يَوْمَئِذٍ وَاجِفَةٌ أَبْصَارُهَا خَاشِعَةٌ يَقُولُونَ أَإِنَّا لَمَرْدُودُونَ فِي الْحَافِرَةِ أَإِذَا كُنَّا عِظَامًا نَخِرَةً قَالُوا تِلْكَ إِذًا كَرَّةٌ خَاسِرَةٌ فإنما هي زجرة واحدة فإذا هم بالساهرة هل أتاك حديث موسى إذ ناداه ربه بالوادي المقدس طوى اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى فقل هل لك إلى أن تزكى وأهديك إلى ربك فتخشى فأراه الآية الكبرى فكذب وعصى ثم أدبر يسعى فحشر فنادى فقال أنا ربكم الأعلى فأخذه الله نكال الآخرة والأولى إن في ذلك لعبرة لمن يخشى أأنتم أشد خلقا أم السماء بناها رفع سمكها فسواها وأغطش ليلها وأخرج ضحاها والأرض بعد ذلك دحاها أخرج منها ماءها ومرعاها والجبال أرساها متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الطامة الكبرى يوم يتذكر الإنسان ما سعى وبرزت الجحيم لمن يرى فأما من طغى وآثر الحياة الدنيا فإن الجحيم هي المأوى وأما من خاف مقام ربه ونهى النفس عن الهوى فإن الجنة هي المأوى يسألونك عن الساعة أيان مرساها فيما أنت من ذكراها إلى ربك منتهاها إنما أنت منذر من يخشاها كأنهم يوم يرونها لم يلبثوا إلا عشية أو ضحاها. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate, by those who snatch out with swiftness, by those who send forth, by those who glorify and send forward, by those who are the outstrippers, by those who have left behind the matter. Indeed, the earth tremoring shall be a sign. Hearts will be overthrown at that point. Vision on that day will be downcast. They shall say, if only we could be returned. Is it when we are dust and bones? Is it when we are dust and bones we shall be returned? They shall say, indeed, that is something strange. But then when the first blast comes, and they are at the Sahira, when the first blast comes, and they are at the Sahira, have you not heard the news of Musa? When his Lord called him at the sacred valley of Tuwa, saying, go to the Pharaoh, indeed he is transgressed, and say, what do you have for me I can purify myself with? So, give for the sake of your Lord and fear him. And he, Allah, showed him the great sign. He denied and was disobedient. Then he turned away and put himself forward. He gathered the people and called out, I am your Lord Most High. So Allah took him as a sign for the hereafter in this life. In that is a sign. In that is a sign for those who fear and reflect. Is it you are more difficult in creation or the sky, which we fastened? And it has been raised and then shaped. Then the night comes and covers over. So the night comes and covers over, and then the daytime acts as a shield. The earth after that straightens itself out, and there comes forth from it water and crops and vegetation. The mountains, placed down, have their place. So there is a reward for you there is a reward for you and for your cattle. So when there comes the great conflagration and blast, a day in which the human being shall remember what he sent forward, and the great fire is kindled and blazes up for whoever sees it. The great fire blazes up for whoever sees it. For whoever sees it. And there shall be the earthly life as remaining nothing but a period of time. Indeed, the great fire is the final destination. As for the one who feared his Lord, or is going in front of his Lord, and forbid his soul from the lowest temptations, then indeed the paradise is a welcome home for such a one. They ask you regarding the hour, when is it? Say, why is it you make mention of this often? But go to your Lord. And to your Lord is the end result. You are the warner of those who will take heed. It is as if a day on the day of resurrection shall be as if a day has passed. A day in which they see it where nothing but an evening and a morning have passed. Surah Al-Nazi'at, the 79th Surah, ayat 1 to 46. So the Exalted One here refers to angels that snatch out the souls of the unbelievers, as said by Ibn Mas'ud, Ali, Atiyah, Ibn Abbas, and Masruq. But it could also be referring to death, as said by Mujahid. And according to Mujahid and also other authorities. So the soul, when it's being snatched out, is said by As-Sudai, is struggling. As who has been to the stars? Who has been to the stars, because the soul is torn out suddenly. Now one scholar of commentary says that this is referring to the stars. And when the soul is taken out, its ascension is so exalted, it cannot even be compared to the stars. As said by Hasan al-Basri, Qatada, Abu Ubaidah al-Akhfash, and Ibn Kaysan. Further, it refers to when the wild animals shall be gathered together and put in pens and domesticated, as said by Al-Mawardi. It is said that all of these are correct. Gharqa, the place of Ighraq, when they come forward, the angels to snatch out the souls. Souls try to resist, they will be unsuccessful. The Nashitat refers to the angels as well. And when they slowly bring out the souls of the believers and hasten the souls of the unbelievers, they are told to take the time taking the soul out, believer or unbeliever, so as not to do damage to the body that might flail and kick around. This was also mentioned by Ali ibn Abi Talib and Muqatil. The angel of death removes the soul of the unbeliever. So when he reaches its point, he puts it in a place and a receptacle and keeps it with him. So he places the soul in a receptacle, and it is then deposited back with the body at one point, and then the soul and body both suffer punishment in the grave. The souls of the believers come out with quickness, without any dispute, for they are waiting for the companions on high in that great day. The great day in which they come forward and the reckoning is brought. The souls are compared that come out so easily to the stars because of their brightness, their luminescence. And the angels are also referred to as wasabihati sabaha, the angels that speak a good word to the souls of the believers, as said by Ali ibn Abi Talib and Ibn As-Sa'ib. Ibn As-Sa'ib has said, so the souls of the believers are like the one who glorifies water. Sometimes he gets water, sometimes he doesn't, but its state does not change. So the souls of the believers must be prayed for, not upon. The angels come down from the sky quickly in the case of a deceased one. فَالسَّابِقَاتِ سَبَقًا, the outstrippers. This refers to the angels going forward and coming to bring the revelation to the prophets before the shaitan and his allies can get to them, as said by Masruq. And that the souls of the believers are brought to the paradise, as said by Mujahid, Abu Rawq. And the children of Adam, their natural disposition is to incline towards Iman, as said by Al-Hasan al-Basri. It also refers to the angels that come when death proceeds seemingly before its time, as said by Mujahid, Ibn Nakhil, Ata. فَالْمُدَبِّرَاتِ أَمْرًا, and those who hasten to discharge the order, because Allah has given them the order and entrusted them with that so that they carry it out. Now, when it comes to discharging affairs, Abdur-Rahman ibn Sabit has said, the affairs of the earthly realm have been entrusted to the management of 4 angels. They've been entrusted to the management of 4 angels. The first is the angel Jibreel alayhi salam. He is trustee of the winds He's the trustee of the winds and the souls. The winds and the armies. The winds and the armies, seen and unseen. Mikael, the second angel of the 4 custodians, is Mikael. He's the trustee of seeds of vegetation, seeds of fruit, and rainfall. The third of the four custodians is the angel of death. The angel of death is the trustee of taking the souls. The fourth custodian is Israfil, the angel Israfil alayhi salam. And he descends from his place. He descends from his place by the command of his Lord upon him. It's also been mentioned. But the angel Jibreel alayhi salam also brings the revelation. And the angel Israfil alayhi salam blows into the horn for the day of resurrection. Ibn Qutaybah has said that the angels being mentioned here also bring down the rulings on the halal and the haram. Then there is also the expression, indeed in that is an admonition for whoever fears. Muqatil has left the ayah as it was. While Al-Farra says all of what followed before is what Allah is referring to. That is the sign. Then when the Exalted One says, when we are dust and bones, shall we be brought back? Allah then brings the next ayah. يَوْمَ تَرْجُفُ الرَّاجِفَةِ, the day of the great shaking, the great blast. This is the first blowing into the horn, in which all of the creation shall die. The Rajifa is a mighty blast which leads to confusion and trials and tribulations. Then, تَتْبَعُهَا الرَّادِفَةِ, this is the second blowing into the into the horn, not long after the first one. So it comes after. And whenever something comes after something else, it's generally based around that thing, and as yardufu, it follows along very closely. Hearts that day shall be overthrown. Great confusion shall be at that time. Great confusion shall result. Vision shall be downcast. And this is an understanding that when it mentions visions that day shall be downcast, meaning whoever did not die upon Islam. When the Exalted One then says, they say, if only there was some return or escape. But they are told flatly no. Then he says that there is no return, but rather there is what is coming. And that وَإِنَّا هِيَ زَجْرَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ, which is the first blowing. It is the blast which puts fear in men's hearts. They shall hear this from the angel Israfil alayhi salam in the earth. Further to this, the Exalted One has said, those who nakhira, who are denying this coming to pass, they deny the resurrection. They say we shall be returned alive. How can this be when we will be dust and bones? This style of questioning is not pleasing. So Allah answered it in a way in which we came across other texts. وَإِنَّا هِيَ زَجْرَةٌ وَاحِدَةٌ is the second blast. This is when the angel Israfil alayhi salam blows into the horn, and those in the earth come up, and they come out of their tombs. فَإِذَا هُمْ بِالسَّاهِرَةِ, that the Sahira is a place on earth, a plain. It is a certain plain that is flat. And the Sahira is referring to that. This was discussed by Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Ikrimah, Al-Dhahak, and others. And when he says, have you not received the news of Musa? Has there not come to you this news? Has there not come to you the news of Musa? Did you not know that he was in the valley of Tuwa when he was told to preach? The Exalted One then mentions he was shown the great sign, which was the hand and the fever, the hand and the staff, as said by the vast majority. But the Pharaoh denied that it was from Allah and disobeyed the command and then fled from the truth. Then he gathered his people an army, and then called them and said, I am your Lord Most High. So, this statement has been preserved for those that transgress. Then the Exalted One, he says, so he was taken at a penalty that belongs to the hereafter and this life. This was mentioned by Ibn Abbas, Ikrimah, Sha'bi, Muqatil, Al-Farra, as well as Ibn Abi Nujih from Mujahid. So Allah shall take a hold of those, and they shall be brought to His justice. Indeed, when he says, I am your Lord Most High, this is the most severe statement uttered by him. And then he said, in that, meaning that which was done by the Pharaoh, is an admonition for whoever fears Allah, then speaks to the one who denies resurrection. Then the Exalted One said, are you more difficult to create, or is the sky with all of its properties? It has been built up, meaning He created you after you had death for a period of time, and He gave you strength, meaning there was a point where you did not exist, and then He gave you existence. However, when He said, but its sky is raised like a canopy, and the night covers it, and its night covers over. The shadows of its night cover over, said by Zajjaj. But the morning brings the day being bent around the night, and the night receding. And the earth after that, meaning after the creation of the sky, is spread out. An example of this ayah, وَلَقَدْ كَتَبْنَا فِي الزُّبُورِ مِن بَعْدِ, Surah Al-Anbiya, the 21st Surah, 105. The example being given here is that what's in the Zabur came around the same time as the previous book. So already we've written in the texts before, after the dhikr, revelation. Allah says about the deniers, عُتُلٍّ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ زَنِيمٌ, woe be to the deniers. So Allah the Exalted says after this, so he is baseborn after that by denying all of the revelation that came before. Those who deny the revelation deny all of that which preceded us. عُتُلٍّ بَعْدَ ذَلِكَ زَنِيمٌ, Surah Al-Qalam, the 68th Surah, ayah 13. So whoever denies all of that which preceded is a denier, and as such is liable for penalty. And that penalty comes from Allah the Exalted. Part of this we've also mentioned in Surah Al-Bakri, the second surah, ayah 29. Allah the Exalted also refers to mar'aha. It is what people, the mar'aha is what people and cattle eat. وَالْجِبَالَ أَرْسَاهَا, and the mountains that are firmly fixed. This way they hurt neither the mountains that are placed firmly hurt neither themselves nor anyone else because they are firmly planted. And all of this that's been given, all of that which has been given is a sustenance to you, both the water and the vegetation. And he says, and when the great happening comes, at-Tamatul Kubra, when the great happening comes, meaning the second blowing into the horn, in which resurrection occurs. When the people of the fire stand up to go into the fire. When the people of the paradise go to the paradise. The people of the fire to the fire. So let the human being يَتَذَكَّرُ الْإِنسَانُ مَا سَعَى, let him reflect on what he puts forward, what he does of good and evil. وَبُرِّزَتِ الْجَحِيمُ لِمَنْ يَرَى, let the eyes look very careful on what is coming of the Jahim, because it is covered, it is veiled currently. But when it is unveiled to the creation on that day, no one will escape it. That Allah has not written that for. And so the one that should transgress in his kufr and prefer the earthly life over the hereafter, then indeed the great fire is his home. Said by Zajjaj, this is what ma'wa means. As the one who feared the place of his Lord. We've already discussed this in Surah Ar-Rahman, the 55th surah, 46. Then the one who forbade himself from low desires, meaning that which was impermissible. This is the man who is tempted by disobedience, but then he remembers his place for reckoning and he leaves that act of disobedience. They ask you about the hour, when it shall be established. We've already discussed this in Surah Al-Araf, the 7th surah, 187. As well as in another note. So, no one has knowledge of the hour. No one has knowledge of the hour, whether they be the most knowledgeable or the least knowledgeable. No one has this knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ was told by Allah that even he didn't have the knowledge. Even the Messenger of Allah ﷺ didn't have the knowledge, because Allah says, إِلَى رَبِّكَ مُنْتَهَاهَا, the highest level and furthest reach of its knowledge is to your Lord. You are the warner of those who should fear. Then the Exalted One says, you are only a warner to the one who may fear. He fears what the warning is, and he's the only one that benefits from the preaching. He is the believer in it. As for the one who doesn't fear it, then it's as if he has not been warned at all. It is as if they, meaning the unbelievers of Quraysh, are thinking of a day in which they shall not remain. They shall think back on the earth, on the earthly life, and think that it was only for a day or a part of a day, when it certainly was not. Their time was short, but not as short as they remember. And this is the clear statement, especially in the Arabic language, that they say, Atik al-Ashiyah, meaning I've given it, or I've set it across. And this occurs in the surah, the said surah, a few times. The Exalted One then brings us to Surah Abasa. Surah Abasa is a Meccan surah by consensus. And the Exalted One, he says, Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Abasa wa tawalla an ja'ahu al-a'ma. وما يدريك لعله يزكى أو يذكر فتنفعه الذكرى أما من استغنى فأنت له تصدى وما عليك ألا يزكى وأما من جاءك يسعى وهو يخشى فأنت عنه تلهى كلا إنها تذكرة فمن شاء ذكره في صحف مكرمة مرفوعة مطهرة بأيدي سفرة كرام بررة قتل الإنسان ما أكفره من أي شيء خلقه من نطفة خلقه فقدره ثم السبيل يسره ثم أماته فأقبره ثم إذا شاء أنشره كلا لما يقض ما أمره فلينظر الإنسان إلى طعامه أنا صببنا الماء صبا ثم شققنا الأرض شقا فأنبتنا فيها حبا وعنبا وقضبا وزيتونا ونخلا وحدائق غلبا وفاكهة وأبا متاعا لكم ولأنعامكم فإذا جاءت الصاخة يوم يفر المرء من أخيه وأمه وأبيه وصاحبته وبنيه لكل امرئ منهم يومئذ شأن يغني وجوه يومئذ مسفرة ضاحكة مستبشرة ووجوه يومئذ عليها غبرة ترهقها قترة أولئك هم الكفرة الفجرة. In the name of Allah, the Merciful, the Compassionate. He frowned and turned away as the blind man had come to him. And what do you know? It may be that he might have taken purification, or he might have remembered and benefited from the admonition. You might have benefited him as doing such. As far as the one that thought himself independent, then you are to him to turn away. And what is the case with you? That he does not seek purification. There is no harm to you on this matter. As far as the one who came to you, coming, and he feared Allah, then you turn away from him? By no means. It is only an admonition. Whoever wills, let him remember. In honored pages that are exalted and pure, written by the hands of pious scribes, the human being is cursed because of how he rejects faith. And which thing did he create? He is rather only created from the sperm drop and then shaped, then shown the pathway that's made to be made easy for him. Then he, Allah, causes him to die and causes him to be buried. Then, when he wills, he brings him about. So when he completes that which he has commanded, then let the human being look at his food, how we send down water from the sky and pour it down, how the earth is split into small crevices and seeds and such go within them, how seeds can be sprinkled in these very small fissures. And these seeds can be grapes and wheat, olives, date palms. And these become parks and fruits that are spread out. A momentary means for you and for your cattle. Then when there comes the great blast, a day in which the man will run from his own brother, his mother and his father, his girlfriend, and his children. Every human being on that day shall only be concerned with his own affair. There shall be faces that day that are radiant, rejoicing and gladdened, but there shall be also other faces that are dark and gloomy, filled with remorse. These are the unbelievers that are sinful and wretched. Surah Abasa, the 80th surah, ayat 1 to 42. When the Exalted One mentions the frowning and turning away, the scholars of commentary say that this refers to the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, who one day was having a private conversation with Utbah ibn Rabi'ah, Abu Jahl ibn Hisham, as well as Umayyah and Ubay, the two sons of Khalaf. He was calling them to Allah the Exalted, and he was hoping for their Islam. But Ibn Maktum, the blind man, came, and he said, "Teach me, Messenger of Allah." Teach me of that which Allah has taught you. And he continued to call and make his request. He did not know that he was busy with other people until the dislike of this in the face of the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam and his tone stopped him from speaking. And the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam pulled away from him and focused on the people he was speaking to. But then these ayat came down. And so the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam honored him after that and said, "Welcome be to the one who on account of him Allah upbraided me and corrected me." And this is collected by Imam Tirmidhi. Muqatil also said that this had to do with the one that believed, because the blind man believed and the others were unbelievers, and he, Allah, knowing that Ibn Maktum would be a believer and those others would never believe, told him not to bother wasting his time. Further to this, the blind man, as we said, his name is Ibn Maktum, but that is a title. His actual name is Amr ibn Qais. Ibn Maktum, or Amr ibn Qais, Allah said of him, it may be that, what do you know? It may be that he'll seek purification through this, purification from sins, by doing righteous actions, and whatever he learns from you. his action of teaching him, and the blind man's action of taking it in. He, Allah says, and he remembers. He remembers the blind man and does not go away when he is reminded. Rather, he's looking to take admonition, to learn from the lessons of the Quran, so that he might benefit from the remembrance. As far as the one that thought himself independent of Allah and from Iman with his wealth. As far as the one who thought this, which are Utbah and Shayba, those that thought they were independent shall certainly be punished. And there's no harm upon you, there's nothing upon you in the fact that those who you call to Islam, they don't listen. In the event that someone came, وَأَمَّا مَنْ جَاءَكَ يَسْعَى, as far as the one who came to you, walking, looking for good. This is Ibn Maktum, fearing Allah. فَأَنْتَ عَنْهُ تَلَهَّى, you are to show him special deference. By no means, do not do that which is not to be done, but rather show due deference and diligence to Ibn Maktum. Then the Exalted One, he says, indeed, it is an admonition, meaning the ayat of the Quran and this particular surah. Whoever wills, let him remember it. We've mentioned part of this in Surah Al-Mudaththir, the 74th Surah 55. Then the Exalted One, he says, this has been preserved in pure pages, noble pages. This is what's been preserved in honorable, noble pages, in books and chapters written out clearly. This is referring to what's in the preserved tablet, as said by Muqatil. The prophets tended to have their books that were noble sent down to them or dictated and written out. And it is pure, this book, from any of the idol worshippers coming upon it and intermingling it with falsehood. It's said by Hassan al-Basri. It's pure from major shirk and major kufr. It's said by Muqatil. And no one should touch it except for those with wudu, as said by Al-Farra. So it is pure. No one should touch it except for the purified. It is pure from any flecks or specks of dirt, and written by the hands of pious scribes, which are the angels, as said by the vast majority. And in the second opinion, that it is the companions of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, as said by Wahab ibn Munabbih and others. So this safara, bi'aydi safara, these refer to books. So these scrolls, these books that are being given, Allah has ennobled them, as said by Ibn Abbas, Mujahid, Abu Ubaidah, Ibn Qutaybah, Az-Zajjaj. All these people have been ennobled that have been able to dictate or copy down something of these books. Then Allah the Exalted says, Kiramim Barara, that they are noble scribes. Then Allah says, cursed is the man for how he rejected faith. This is the unbeliever. And this is particular to every unbeliever, said by Mujahid, but specifically who was revealed regarding Umayyah ibn Khalaf, said by Dhahak, And Utbah ibn Abi Lahab, as said by Muqatil. The Exalted One says, from which thing was he created? Can he describe that from the sperm drop? And then he measured out his degrees, his hands and feet and head and limbs. Then he, Allah the Exalted, mentioned that فَقَدَّرَهُ, he measured him out after he became the sperm drop, gave him limbs, head, eyes, hands, and feet, said by Ibn As-Sa'ib. So he took him through the different aspects of his humanity. He was a sperm drop, then the blood clot, then another creation, and then another, and then another. Then he showed him the pathway, meaning he made the pathway of knowing truth and falsehood easy. As said by Hasan al-Basri, Mujahid al-Farra. Then he caused him to die and caused him to be buried. So he, Allah, is the one that inaugurated death and burials. Whether someone was eaten by a wild animal, killed by a bird, he, Allah, has inaugurated burial. He did not say qabrahu, he said فَإِنَّ الْقَابِرِ, meaning that he had him buried by his own hand. So he, Allah, initially showed that he was the first one to command the burial and bring it about. And when he and then ثُمَّ إِذَا شَاءَ أَنشَرَ, and when he so desires, he's brought forward by Allah. The dead shall be brought forward. By no means, in truth, when the matter has been judged, meaning the matter of his Lord, and that which is followed, whether it's this year or the next, he knows. The Exalted One is also mentioned, let the human being look at his food, meaning let Utbah ibn Abi Lahab look at his food. Let him look how Allah created his food, the different phases they go through. Just to take that, remember also what Allah said. Indeed, we poured down over you water from the sky. And the earth's crevices were filled with vegetation and seed. Then he says, and out of those crevices grew things that came from the seeds. Other things, such as grapes, hard dates, olives, date palms. And then there are also the gardens, the noble gardens that are spread out, that also bear vegetation. The fruits, then there are the fruits of varying colors. There is the pasture land that the beasts consume, as said by Ibn Abbas and As-Sujaj. Then the Exalted One, he says, and when the blast comes, this refers to the second blowing of the horn, said by Ibn Qutaybah. When that blast comes, no one will be able to ignore it. It is the blast that comes that signals the day of resurrection. awakens the dead. You will not hear except what you've been summoned to come for the case of. That time has been described. There is also about this day, Allah says, the day in which the man shall flee from his brother. So the man won't look to anyone from his near relatives for assistance on that day. That day he runs from his own brother. The Exalted One says the first one he runs from is his brother. And the first one to run from his brother was when Habil had to run from his own brother. The first one to run from his own mother and father was Nabiyyuna Ibrahim alayhi salam. So looking at this, we have the first one to run from his brother was Habil alayhi salam, running from Qabil. The first one to run from his mother and his father as a sign of the day of resurrection was Nabiyyuna Ibrahim alayhi salam. The first one to run from his own wife was Nabiyyuna Lut alayhi salam. And the first one to run from his own son was Nabiyyuna Nuh alayhi salam. Qatada ibn Da'ima says, know this. Habil ran from Qabil. The Prophet ﷺ ran from his own mother. Nabiyyuna Ibrahim alayhi salam ran from his father. And Nabiyyuna Lut alayhi salam ran from his wife, as did Nuh from his son. Every human being on that day will only be concerned with himself and not his family. So he will only be concerned with himself and his own condition. As the Judge said, everyone will only be able to focus on his own condition initially. Then the following statement was made, in which Aisha radiallahu anha said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, shall we be resurrected naked? To which the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, yes, indeed you shall be. Aisha remarked, but our nakedness, won't we look at one another? And he recited the ayah. That day, every human being should be busy with his own condition. He should be busy with what he has. Then the Exalted One says, faces that day shall be illuminated with good, rejoicing. This is happiness in that which they've reached from the honor of Allah. There shall be other faces that are downcast and lowly and gloomy. And this is on account of the dislike of that which they've done and that which they put forward. They should be overwhelmed with a shadow over their faces, like smoke. Further to this, the Exalted One, he says, faces that day shall be gloomy, downcast. And the gloominess and downcast, if you look at what Allah said before, faces shall be rejoicing and bright, versus faces shall be gloomy and downcast. This is a distinction that Allah is making. And then he tells you, those who have gloomy and downcast faces, they are the unbelievers and rebellious sinners. For this category, you allow the people to know the truth that the unbeliever and the rebellious sinner, although having different end results, are punished. The Exalted One then says, أُولَٰئِكَ هُمُ الْكَفَرَةُ الْفَجَرَةُ. They are the rebellious sinners that are unbelieving. As the Judge said, the faces will be darkened with pitch, as if they were standing in front of smoke. But the people of goodness shall go forward rejoicing with illuminated faces. Close quote. أقول قولي هذا أستغفر الله لي ولكم أستغفر الله إن الله غفور رحيم يحمي الراحمين. So we have covered from عما يتساءلون all the way to Abasa وتولى. Are there any questions over what we've covered today in this juz? Yes. Salam.
The angel of death takes the souls out of the body. I mentioned it takes them out slowly so not to damage the body. Is that for both the unbelievers and the believers alike, or is that just for the believers?
The question is regarding the angel of death taking the soul slowly out of the believer, out of people, so as not to damage the body. Is this both for believers and unbelievers? Alhamdulillah. Salatu wassalamu ala Rasulillah. When you're looking at the statements regarding the angels removing the souls of the believers, he mentions the kharaja or akhraja, that he's removing them. But for unbelievers, it mentions the expression naza'a, to snatch, or qabada, to grip. Right? So they're undergoing a different thing because they want to stay in the body. They don't want to be removed to face reckoning, because that's the beginning of reckoning. So the ruling on unbelievers' souls being removed is different, but not enough to damage the body. Yes. Oh, yeah. Any other questions? Yes? No? Question? Yes.
When you spoke about the blowing of the horn by Israfil, you stated that
Ibn Al-Jawzi stated.
That all of creation will be destroyed, including Israfil. But then doesn't that mean that the horn as well will be destroyed, because that also is creation?
It won't be destroyed. It's that the creation will die.
Creation will die. Okay.
Yeah. Horn's not alive. It's a thing. It's an inanimate object.
Also, inanimate objects will still be around.
Anything living dies.
Okay.
So question was regarding the horn being blown and all living things dying. So the horn is exempt to that because the horn is an inanimate object. It's not living. So it shall not die. Is there a question? Any other further question? Okay. So inshallah, we're 4 pages in. So inshallah, we hope next week to carry through a nice basic pace, not going fast, taking our time, because again, this juz is 23 pages. So it's the only juz that is not 20, it is 23. So we just take our time, we go along things, and we build. But as you can see, most of the knowledge has been covered. So he keeps referring back to, please refer to this, please refer to that. Because most of the knowledge has now been covered. Right? So inshallah, next week we'll be starting with إِذَا الشَّمْسُ كُوِّرَتْ. So I say, سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك إنه غفور رحيم يا حميد الراحمين ولا إله إلا الله. السلام عليكم. بسم الله.